My name is Mark Dunn. I would like to welcome you to the Diversity and Inclusion Training Program, a guide to cultural competency. Organizations of all sizes are seeking to improve their diversity schemes when it comes to drawing, preserving, and engaging their workforce. But it isn't easy. Diversity and inclusion strategies can be rather complex. The purpose of this training program is to explain diversity and inclusion, discuss the importance of critical thinking or thinking critically, realize implicit bias, address microaggressions, and we will also discuss cross cultural sensitivity. Okay, so what is diversity and inclusion? We hear these terms all of the time in the corporate world, but what are they? Well, defined, diversity is the condition of having or being composed of different elements. And inclusion is the practice of providing equal access to opportunities and resources for people who might otherwise be excluded or marginalized. Next, I would like to discuss a few pros and cons when considering cultural diversity in the workplace. So, a few pros are cultural diversity presents a variety of perspectives. It is a good opportunity for mentoring, it is better service to a diverse customer base, and it also promotes innovation. So those are good things. Those are pros. Those are things that we like to have within our organization. So we do have some cons as well. A few cons are it creates opportunity for biases because there are differences there. And then also communication barriers are developed. Cultural conflicts. One example would be religion. And also increase overall tension within the organization. Complexity of cross cultural interactions. Have you ever sat in a meeting with a diverse group and found yourself pondering at times, are we from different worlds? I mean, we don't think alike, we don't dress alike, we don't speak alike, and in some regards, we don't even look alike. Well, it is a complex subject. In 2015, an article written by Lechcook states, as organizations become more global, theories focusing on how to interact with specific cultures may not fully explain successful cross-cultural interaction. I believe it's difficult and it's complex because in order to understand someone else's culture, we have to break through communication barriers. How do we break through communication barriers? If an organization is going to be successful at creating a diverse and inclusive atmosphere, they will have to break down communication barriers. One of the keys to accomplishing this is critical thinking. On this slide, we're going to discuss the importance of thinking critically. Critical thinking. What is it? Critical thinking is investigating theories in effort to understand the world from other cultures' point of view and identify your own. A critical approach increases self-awareness, mainly because it helps us recognize our own personal implicit biases. Now, for the first task, I would like for you to write down at least one bias you might have, but deny. Now, this is an anonymous task. Please do not write your name down on the paper, and do not let anyone else see what you are writing. Also, a critical approach increases cultural awareness because it enhances our ability to consider the other person's perspective. We call this perspective taking. In other words, we take the perspective of someone else into consideration. Now, for the second task, I would like for you to write down at least one group you've marginalized in the past or even now, but deny. We also use critical thinking to expose microaggressions. What are microaggressions? Microaggressions are insensitivities or negligible insults, rather intentional or unintentional, that instinctively associate derogatory qualities with marginalized groups. For instance, asking an Asian person, "Do you speak English?" Or making a statement to a woman such as, "Oh, I would have never thought you would have been a mechanic. You are the whitest black person I know." So who's the man in the relationship? All of these statements are examples of microaggressions. Another key to breaking down communication barriers within the organization is intercultural competency, which is the ability to comprehend someone else's perspective. Number one, cultural self-awareness. How does my culture shape my identity and worldview? Number two, culture-specific knowledge. How much basic knowledge do I have about other cultures? Intercultural competency increases our awareness and creates what we call cross-cultural sensitivity. In other words, we become sensitive to the other person's culture, and we are cognizant of the fact that everyone does not think like us. For example, when meeting someone from Japan, we may be hesitant to extend our hand. We may wait for them to bow or extend their hand before we do anything. Another example would be refraining from asking someone, "Why do you have a head covering?" That can be considered insensitive. This concludes our presentation. And remember, we all live in this big world together. If we learn to respect each other and consider each other's perspectives, our workplaces will be filled with respect and innovation. Be who you are and allow others to do the same. Thank you.